وأؤمن به جل وعلا ولا أكفره وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him. We seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and messenger. Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. And this way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. I would like to begin reading from As-Sabiqun, and this is a message from the Imam. This is October 2000, so we're a little over 20 years ago. And it starts with Surah 11, Ayat 88, and this is Shuaib said, O my people, see ye whether I have a clear sign from my Lord, and He hath given me sustenance pure and good, as from Himself. I wish not in opposition to you to do that which I forbid you to do. I only desire your betterment, that's Islah, improvement, to the best of my power, and my success in my task can only come from Allah. In Him I trust, and unto Him I look. This is Surah Hud, Ayat 88. The theme of our first national conference is Islah. The word Islah has several connotations, including improvement, betterment, correction, reconditioning, and cultivation. 5 years ago in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, members from Masjid al-Islam in Oakland, California, Masjid al-Islam in Washington, D.C., and Masjid al-Islam in Philadelphia came together to formally organize into an Islamic movement, hence the launch of As-Sabiqun. This week-long think tank process, we developed a mission statement, common goals, which would be supported and achieved by coordinated efforts, an overarching system or structure. We also outlined the minimum characteristics that would be necessary to participate in a functional, dynamic Islamic organization with the aim of establishing Islam firmly in or on the American continent. As we grew and expanded as a Jama'ah, each of us who have participated in this great mission have acquired a world of knowledge and practical experience. However, we still have quite a ways to go. Our task in the cause of Islam demand that we constantly advance to an ever higher quality of work and action in all areas of our lives, including the moral, ethical, spiritual, and physical dimensions of our being. Islam itself and our Islamic mission calls for a steady improvement, which will enable us to take full advantage of the right opportunities as they arise in our struggle to make the deen flourish and prosper. However, as we progress from one stage to another, we must also be sure to take into account the need for adjustment and correction. Of course, we believe that the anchor of As-Sabiqun in the Quran is in the Quran and Sunnah. But whenever there's movement in any direction, there's always the real possibility of drifting off course, which can become a major obstacle. This is why we as a community must reconvene from time to time to question ourselves. Where have we been? How have we adjusted? Have we handled ourselves in accord with our own expectations? And finally, are we still on the correct course in relation to our original intentions and calculations? All of these are necessary as we collectively engage in the process of Islah. Let us refocus on our mission and prepare ourselves to rise to a new level of cultivation and training in all of our endeavors. Let us realign ourselves with a shared purpose and vision. I'd like to go over this last paragraph. However, as we progress from one stage to another, we must also be sure to take into account the need for adjustment and correction. Adjustment and correction. Of course, we believe that the anchor of our As-Sabiqun is the Quran and Sunnah. But whenever there is movement in any direction, there is also the real possibility of drifting off course, which can become a major obstacle. This is very important. We know that our base is Quran and Sunnah. But if you remember in those days, this is 20 years ago, we're saying our base is the Quran and the Sunnah. Khalas, that's it. Then, now, we've also, which is automatic, as you grow and improve, we have included not only Quran and Sunnah, but travel in the earth and see what was the end of those before us. In other words, having confidence. See, we have the confidence now that we actually had it then, for sure, but it didn't rise to the occasion of adding it into our process. Quran, Sunnah, and studying the world, analyzing the world. You have to be aware of our analysis. See, 20 years ago, we had made the proper analysis in all occasions. But now, we've not only made the proper analysis in legal, social, political, ethical, and historical accounts, but we've actually been able to affect the system in which we live. We even said that we have learned how to manage, to manipulate, and also that we have risen to the occasion that we can, we've said that we've even domesticated the system. So that means we have the credibility within ourselves, within our organization, that we can now say that we can prove that we've made the right adjustment by how we have studied history, how we've aligned history with the present environment today, and how we put ourselves right in the middle of it. Remember, this is 20 years ago. You can tell that we're on the right road by what we've written right here. This is the message that we gave out to our first national meeting in 2000, 20 years ago. And then our experience. See, this stuff comes with your level, let's say, of leadership and and confidence. Then, of course, right at this time, we were right in the middle of demonstrations, organizations, security on a local and national level. We was really what you might call, we were very active at that time. But we had not, on a national level, on those local things, if we're dealing with Iran and all those issues, we're already hitting the spot. 20 years before this, we told them that we're not going to vote, and this is what voting's going to do. It's going to have this effect and that effect. And we was correct on that. But you can see now, we have gained the confidence to say the Quran, the Sunnah, history, and our experience. See, so it's been over 5, 6 years, maybe even 10 years, that we have added in our experience. There's a certain time that you gain confidence and the hujjah, the proof that this is real. Our experience has a lot to do with what's going on here. Now, at that time, also, the subject today is Islamic Revival. In those days, we were still going through the process of what we call Iqamatul Deen, establishing the Deen. You know, Islamic Revival is what immigrants overseas, that was Islamic Revival, had been going on for a long time. You know, for let's say it had been really maxing out at about 60, 70 years at that time. If we start with Ikhwan al-Muslimin in Egypt in 1928. So Iqamatul Deen, like Iqama, to establish, you know, to establish the Deen. So that's what our job was. We visualized our job here is Iqamatul Deen. So that's why 5 years before this, we met in Philadelphia and we established As-Sabiqun. We established As-Sabiqun, but also in establishing As-Sabiqun, we also had, we're now formalizing what we're doing. We've been doing it all along. I mean, from the first day, sometime we might do it. We might go over a whole 1980 writing and what we're doing at that time. All of it is similar to this, but this is a major improvement right here. No, not an improvement. Yeah, it's an improvement. It's a step up. But whenever there's movement in any direction, there's also a real possibility of drifting off course. That means that you don't just, oh, we're doing the right thing. Oh, we did that right. We're thinking this way, that right, da, 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 da. You're not taking any chances. That's what we're doing now. That's why tonight's discussion is Islamic Revival. Why Islamic Revival? You look all around here, you look in Oakland, you look at, okay, we getting rolling right here, and we often rolling. Bop, 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 we go through our stuff. And if some people believe that the worst thing can happen to a person or a group is to have instant success. You know, like you put out your first record and you sold 1 million or 5 million copies. You know, it's going to go to your head. But suppose you out there like the Temptations was. They made one record after another for a long time. And pretty soon, My Girl hit, and they was off and rolling. So they were used to, they had to study. What are we doing here? You know, they made a few good, you know, Paradise and all that. They made a few good moves. But when they made My Girl, that came from Smokey Robinson studying their group. And now he's going to flip from one person to, okay, we're going to give this to David. He had a voice. You can't say that. He didn't have self-discipline or nothing like that, but he sure had a good voice. You know what I mean? For them, for that group. And their moves, their organization, and their discipline. People used to, because I was in the so-called gangster world, and they used to, my favorite record in those days, is still now it's important, was I Wish It Would Rain. So they said, how could a gangster be wishing it would rain? I said, are you crazy? You think I'm sitting at the window looking at teardrops on the doggone water on the wishing it would rain? I said, you crazy? I say, we're basing our movement, our organization at that time. So do you see how them niggas move? Right? Their unity, their harmony, their organization. That's what we're looking at, and nobody care nothing about. If you thinking I'm sad sitting at the window, I wish it would rain, you're crazy. You're literally, you don't understand. And I can understand how people may not understand. I said, you look at the way them boys move. See, because they was the first group that got out there like that. They was smooth. It was unity, harmony, everything. That's the kind of organization. That's what I want y'all to look like in our organization. Harmony, unity, you know, and we based it on that. But now, so success is all what everybody is working toward. But whether it's instant or whether it's over the period of time, have a lot to do with our own personal growth and development. Like when you fail at things, or not fail, or when you don't reach your goal until a period of study and reflection, right? You evolve into your, into your success. That's the same thing with a movement. So we're rolling along. This is 20 years ago. This is October 2000. And this is the message from the Imam to the people. And we're concentrating on now, at that time, it was the Kamatul Deen, to establish the Deen. 5 years ago, or 5 years before, we met in Philadelphia. I had the pictures and all of that stuff. We signed a contract also, you know, an allegiance type of thing. And so we were formally now As-Sabiqun. Okay, since then to now, we have exhibited As-Sabiqun. We did before that too. But since then to now, we've exhibited all that stuff. You know, like the analysis that we make, the way we, with our limited resources, and it is time for Islamic Revival. Because a lot of our progress, what they call progress, was during that era. And I would say in the last 15 years, if you look around here, you could see whether it's our property, whatever it is, it's not falling apart, but it needs upgrading. It needs, you know, upkeep. Everything is like that. Everything we got here, it needs that. So that's where the concept of revival comes from. You see what I mean? We got to rejuvenate and revive and get this boy up and down, but we still have to process here every now and then. If there's movement, right, you have to, there's a possibility of going off course. The winds of change, the waves, the environmental circumstances blow most people off course just naturally. You got to have a powerful drive. You got to keep studying your charts and everything to make sure you're still on course, right? You got to make sure. Okay, so we've always been headed in the right direction, but you have to come together every now and then to stop and take a look around, do your measurements. Are we on the correct course? And right here it says, where have we been? How have we adjusted? Have we handled ourselves in accord with our own expectations? You know, this on page number 2, the top left there. How have we dealt with our own expectations? And finally, are we still on the correct course in relation to our original intentions and calculations? Right? So you can tell that we didn't research where we are, where we're trying to go, and we put out our goals and all those things at that time. Well, we have to have new upgraded goals to deal with our revival. We'll just breeze over some of those tonight, but I hope that we come back together again Thursday to be just a little bit more detailed, if it's possible. And if it's not, we can, whenever we come together, we'll go over this. We have learned over time that not all Muslims share the same hopeful and optimistic picture of Islam in America and worldwide. We have also learned that standing for justice may mean standing alone. Does that fit what we're talking about here? That if you stand for the correct truth, you're not trying to be a paragon of virtue. I want to satisfy nothing but perfection. No, not that, not perfection. But the general, basic, correct analysis and follow-up, carrying it through, right? So we've already had we had 20 years of experience by the time we wrote this. So we know the same thing we know now. It's just that we're moving to a higher level. This is a repeat. What we're doing now is a repeat of that period, except we have the chance to reflect on that time, that period, the expectations of that period, who's who, what's what, and we've had a lot of time. And a lot of this stuff is self-imposed. A lot of this is self-imposed. That means we might have imposed a slowdown on ourselves. Yeah. Why? Because you need to reflect. You're gonna just stroll around and everything's fine. No. So you impose. We did it in Jahiliyyah. At first it was accidental. You just look at things and say, it wasn't accidental. It was fitra. That's what it technically was. Hey man, I'm gonna pull back and take a look at this because this stuff is happening. It's pretty, you know what I mean? It's coming quickly. All of a sudden, heavy arrest at certain times. So let's pull back and look at this stuff, And that became a part of our behavior pattern. So we have also learned that standing for justice may mean standing alone. That's why things that happened to other people, they didn't go through the proper process of expectation, of trying to look ahead. We've had a few programs, I think, on expectations. Well, As-Sabiqun is expecting, looking ahead and trying to analyze. I believe that on human terms, one of our basic good characteristics is this taking it easy every now and then and taking a look around and self-imposed reflection. So this standing alone, a lot of people, they get shocked. Oh, if you notice they open a new masjid at different times around, they stay a while, do a certain job, and then they close up. A lot of people don't know. When we first came in, we opened up on 8th Street, the place was full. why isn't it not full here? Because they're at that period, they're in charge of the process here. So they'll fool you. They'll run people through there. I would say DC has either hundreds or thousands of functionaries, right? When I say that they can open up a masjid down the street, right down the street, and fill it up, and they come in organized and ready to go. They could even have a school or anything else, just like that. Why? Because they got all the people, they put it together. It's like a task force. Called it a task force masjid. The task is to divert all the people with their coordinated effort. Everybody in their thing is coordinated. They're paid, they're hired, they've been doing this a long time, and they're skilled at it. So when we was over on 8th Street, the people was rolling in, I mean, from everywhere. Sudanese, this, that, and the other. Everybody, it was just unbelievable. But then, when we got to dealing with a lot of other things began to look a little funny. Then they'd already opened a masjid down on the corner down there. And it was open, I remember one time, the little weasel man that was the imam over there, I think his name, but he looks like a weasel. I mean, he technically, so he came over here once and he was telling that this is what we gonna do, trying to do that. And he invited me to come and speak on a Sunday night or a Saturday night. So I got the days mixed up, and I went over there the night before. They were having a program there. And when I walked in the door, there's Muhafiz sitting there. And the Negroes used to come to our show. And I mean, these are knowledgeable. They know what they're doing, Negroes. They all there. So I think when I walked in the door, Muhafiz might have urinated on the masjid floor or something. You know, that's the way he looked, you know, like, you know, you catch a deer in the headlights and the eyes is just, and then so I walked in and the little weasel man run up. He said, "No, I wanted you to be here tomorrow night." I said, "Oh, it's okay." So I just got the idea that I wasn't welcome that night, that it was a 2-night program. So I stayed around, made everybody uncomfortable. You know, I mean, you wouldn't believe it. All over, I mean, all the old timers, they were there. And they knew what that was, because they know that was a kickoff of kind of Masjid Muhammad type attitude to people, and that they hated that, you know, and there it was. So they have, when they open up something, they can fill it up, or they can keep people away. You know, it's what they want to do, you know, okay. And they have the people, and they have the wherewithal to do that. Okay, so we'll move on. We have learned over time, we must bear in mind that the long years of struggle will produce many peaks and valleys. How to navigate through challenges and manage stress, followed by exhilaration, followed by frustration, followed by a renewal of energy and spirit, takes a special process accompanied by a high level of adaptation and adjustment in the personal management and community development. The lifelong journey of Islamic movement requires much mental, moral, physical, and spiritual preparation and progress. We must not lose sight of this. So we're talking about things that we studied. I might have mentioned stress the other week. So when we got to kicking in Oakland real good in 1980, I realized right away that, they tried to, now I was different. See, I was the imam that lived in a room in the masjid. So people got access to me 24 hours a day. That's different than other imams or so-called leaders. They live in a house, you know what I mean? And you don't have that much access to them. But if I'm living in the masjid, that means they got 24-hour day access, or from Fajr to Isha time. And sometime they'll try to interrupt that. That's after Isha is a phone call time when they call in. They got women calling, you know. So they have 24-hour access, you know, and they use that access. So now I studied what I was doing. So I studied why would they be doing that? What would be their purpose? I said, oh, that's to cause stress, frustration. You know, you have mice in the cage running around. If they can't get what they're trying to do, they get frustrated. So does a human being, right? If you don't achieve your goal or the thing that you want in a certain amount of time, you get stress, it produces stress and frustration. So I studied that, and I already adopted a counter-stressful program and a counter-frustration program. That means that's what that heavy attitude, optimism in those days, attitude, optimism, and all that was right at the forefront. Because you had to have that attitude or you was a goner, you know. All right, so. Go ahead.
It reminds me of the conversation we had this weekend when we talked about your generation from a particular community, and the older brother said they just got frustrated. Well, this is what he was saying, that
Right.
the older imams or the older leadership got frustrated with the Negro.
Yeah.
They just got to a point where they just stopped. You know.
That's what we was telling them 20 years ago. You got to get used to, you're exhilarated. That means the government do something to help y'all just, the imam is happy, he's rolling along, he's accepted. Then ain't nobody talking to him. Or they got the same people doing little stuff at the masjid all the time. Every time he have a meeting, they bring somebody extra that's got a counter to whatever he's for. They got, and pretty soon, this poor guy, I think you said that they didn't know what they were up against.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's exactly, that they didn't know what they was up against. Nobody, that's what As-Sabiqun do. We go out and research and get in all the tussles. In fact, As-Sabiqun go out and make trouble. They're troublemakers. Why? Because you make trouble, they come and get you. You're going to be the target, right? But so when you target, you got to be standing there and you got to say, now I got to calculate when boss man going to shoot so I can dump this way, jump that way, right? You got to, you know, see, people don't think we know what we're doing. We're doing and saying, if I sit here and talk against the Zionists, shoot, when Abe Foxman come out, I expect him to be coming out. I expect Daniel Pipes and them to be talking. And especially when you're telling the truth, Steve Emerson, all them guys are afraid of these guys. So we say, oh, well, we're going to show them guys as sisters. They sweet as candy. So we challenge, you, hey, come out here. You talking all that old bad talk. I'll meet you in Philadelphia. Where you, Philadelphia? I'll meet you down at the university. And we'll have a program, me and you. I'm not going to respond to Imam Musa because he's some kind of, I don't know, you probably saw it. Oh, some old guy. So I said, man, this guy is he's a girl. Well, not a physical girl, but, well, in the old days, that's what gangsters would call people. A girl is wonderful. But a boy that's got, anyway, it's long, you can kind of get the idea. So we know what we're doing, and we've been doing it. That's why we want to we telling these people then, all your parents and all them people down in Richmond and everywhere, or over at Masjid Muhammad in those days, it was clear then that the chief was totally surrounded. And there was one, in each town they had three, just like here, they had three masajid all following the chief, right? They had Masjid Ashura following the chief. They had Masjid Muhammad following the chief. They had Suleiman and Sultan, them, right? They was right down what's now Ibn Taymiyyah. They was rolling and they was following the chief. And they'd all come by and roll their eyes at me like, you ain't following the chief. Or, you wasn't really in the first resurrection. So I had to tell them, I said, I was a captain in the first resurrection. Y'all wasn't nobody. You wasn't big time in the first. I said, I was in the first and the second. That's good as you can get, you know. I was in the first resurrection and the second resurrection. Of course, people don't know what it means, but it's still, for conversation-wise, they was trying to say that if I really followed the chief, then I would be there with them. But the chief was not doing this. And that's what I'm trying to tell them. It's not bad. I'm just telling you. You got to study what's going on. That's what beat them down. That took the biggest organization, Muslim organization, in the United States. It had all the characteristics of a dynamic Islamic movement. It had leadership and it had people that followed the chief. The pioneers, they followed the chief, right? They followed the chief. There is no problem. But they didn't get anything done. That's what we was trying to tell them. Hey, man, you got to study what's going on. You got to research yourself. It's not bad that you just look at. If they would have done that, well, we don't want to say if, but perhaps they would have seen who is who. They all know who they are now. These guys got rich. They done sold these masajid and properties, got loans on them, and they done lost some of the properties, and foreigners and took over, you know what I mean, in many cities, you know.
Actually, I had a brother down in Richmond that he had said something that, you know, sounds like it might have came from here about a particular brother in Richmond, you know, that kind of pushed, you know, African Americans out of the Imam Morphy Muhammad community in Richmond.
Yeah.
And basically shut down the masjids so that you can only really park there for prayer on Friday and everything. He had actually called that brother the police because of the behavior patterns they had. I'm like, huh, you been listening to somebody else? But it was interesting.
Man, they was giving Imam Wahiduddin Muhammad so much trouble that that's why I say, alhamdulillah. For me, he's a mujaddid. He did all that, what he did. You don't have to be perfect. You can be a partial mujaddid too. In other words, no, according to Maulana Maududi, out of his 9 characteristics, that makes you a perfect mujaddid, a full-fledged card-carrying mujaddid. But if you do 2, 3, or 4 of those things, you would be a mujaddid. Maybe a partial mujaddid and all of that. So Imam Wahiduddin Muhammad, not to change the subject, he did enough to be a card-carrying mujaddid. But he threw that label away, mujaddid, to become president. That's okay too. You know, Negroes can cause you so much trouble, you might just want to leave them alone. You say, I quit. I don't want to bother with y'all no more. This is the common thing. They bring somebody in the masjid and you don't have no argument with nobody. They bring that one, he starts an argument with that one, they both on the same team. And then they draw people in the masjid, on this side or the other. That's fitna. Anytime you divide the masjid up, instead of unify and harmonize it, so they already got their argument developed. So they just argue and argue. And what happens? Somebody gets on that brother's side. And somebody gets on that brother's side. Finished. They didn't cause the problem right there. And they might keep it going for months or years or, and they just keep that where nobody, and they might be doing it with perfect balance. This guy has got the best show for right now. Then the other guy lightens up and let him get to, and they just keep balancing like it used to be. If you wanted freedom and democracy, either the Soviet Union was backing you up or the United States. And if the United States gave you weapons, the Soviet Union would give your opponent weapons, right? And they would do that. They running the whole world. Up and back and forth. I was very suspicious. I want freedom. I want freedom in Nicaragua. So here come the U.S. with Contras and drugs and all that. And then here come other people, Cuba and all of them, hooking the brothers up, and the Russians. But anyway, so I'll just reread this. We must bear in mind that long years of struggle will produce many peaks and valleys. How to navigate through challenges and manage stress, followed by exhilaration, followed by frustration, followed by renewal of energy and spirit, takes a special process, accompanied by a high level of adaptation and adjustment in personal management and community development. The lifelong journey of Islamic movement requires much mental, moral, physical, and spiritual preparation and progress. We must not lose sight of this. So as you can see, that if we have 40 years of experience now, just as in masjid management and stuff, this was 20 years ago. So we could say that it took us, when we go back to 86, 85 and 86, when they was stealing all of our stuff, and we put this as a big victory. I don't know if y'all remember that. In the accordion folder, they was doing this and that. So we got first-hand treatment, on-the-spot treatment. So we progressed faster. You got to remember, they didn't think we would be doing this now. With the same amount of enthusiasm, and all of a sudden, you might be cruising along all day and taking it easy and what have you, and then all of a sudden, bump, you right back. We right back, boss. So it wasn't going nowhere. We just running around the block, laughing and talking and taking it easy. Why? Because you try to produce stress in people, and you try to produce all that other. Well, you ain't gonna do it with us. That's what we be saying, basically. You're not gonna do that with us. We already got your number, and this stuff here proves it. As we move forward, we must learn from past organizations and movements. The road we are traveling has been traveled before. Therefore, why not use travel guides to help us prepare for what we may come? They got Ikhwanis, they got Maulana Maududi's crew, Jamaat Islami. They had Jamiatul Taliban, and technically at that time it was Pakistan, or East Pakistan, or Bangladesh. All the Arab movements, we studying everything. All of our movements here, the Al-Islam movement, good movement, Islamic Party, good movement, and other little subgroupings all around, and little break-off groups. Much of what we will see has been seen by others, and so their input would be a valuable asset. This is how we was able to kind of warn Ikhwan, when Ikhwan come over here, and Uncle, whatever his name, the Negro president, he was running all around. Oh, we just love everybody, and he's at Cairo University, talking all that old talk. And the Muslims be liking that talk. Barack Hussein Obama, he's practicing taqiyya. This guy he can't have that name and then not be, what's the name was saying, Kennedy gave a speech. He said, and shoot Barack Obama, they got O'Shea, they got O'Reilly, and all of these people. He said, hell, Obama's Irish. That's what Kennedy said. I don't know if he said, because Obama, they got old so-and-so with all them Irish names. He said, yeah, he said, hell, he's Irish, because he was pushing him. But anyway, this right here, the reason I wanted to read this tonight is this is a message that we read to our crew in 2000. Okay. As we explore the theme of consolidation, improvement, and expansion, some of the topics that will necessarily emerge include our mission and goals, our values, standards, and akhlaq, the moral basis, standard operational procedures, basic principles in movement, lessons from our heritage, and the critical nature of healthy family life. The last of these must be emphasized. The highest order of business for the Islamic movement in North America is developing a healthy family life. This is the determining factor for all our success, and therefore it remains an important aspect of our work. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to progress to where we currently are. We ask Him to accept our humble efforts. We thank Him for any results that He may grant us on behalf of our intentions and actions. We are here in response to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's call to conduct affairs through mutual consultation. In other words, Amruhu Shura Bainahum. Years ago they used to say, Masjid al-Islam and the dictatorship, Imam over there pushing everybody around. I could have said anytime, man, they taking me as an all-day sucker. I'm a candy bar for the community. They do whatever they want to do, right? And if I did have dictatorial powers, I would never use them, because dictators bites the dust. Big dictators go wrong, even they got good intentions. I was watching one thing on Fidel. Fidel was telling the farmers something to do about cattle, and Fidel didn't know one end of the cow from the next, but he was el dictador, he was the dictator, and he had good intentions too. He did a lot of good stuff, but he just wasn't qualified. It's like one of the things the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sahih Muslim was telling the brothers, oh, what are you doing there? He said, oh, we grafting grapes. We take this and then we kind of hook it up to that. And this old funny acting grapevine produces from these that we hook onto it wonderful grapes. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I don't like that. So they stopped doing it. Then the crops went bad. And he said, hey, you guys know more about that dunya than I do. You know more about farming. I just didn't happen to like it. But, I just, putting this on, that on. That's a bad thing. I don't feel comfortable with that. But after the crops went bad for a year or two, he said, hey, man, y'all can do whatever you want to. That's you know more about that dunya. That's the way it's put in Sahih Muslim. So I want to now see we're in a stage of doing all of these things. And so to counter low expectations of us, we've had an attack by all people. The Negroes, not us being attacked, but they've attacked the character of Negro Muslims, having all them Negro Muslims sit out at the big shows and beg the people to death. And, they show bad character. It's not happening. They do it. And the people know what they're doing. It's not going to take but 5 minutes for the foreigners to say, those Negroes they ain't up to nothing. That's why Muhammad Aslam from out there at the Islamic, out there in Gaithersburg, I think. We used to go out there on Fridays sometime. He came here for Imam Jamil program, and he told the people out there, he said, or he told us when he was standing back there, basically the people were saying those people are beggars, talking about us. He said, he came and looked around, he said, them people ain't beggars. It ain't no niggas that just start from scratch and come up and they pay for this and pay for that. So he wanted to come out, us to come out there. And we had one meeting over at Dar al-Hijra. They wanted me to be the big sheikh. They had 3 of us. We was going to settle some argument that they had between their people. I tell you what it was. The Arabs was trying to take over out there. The Ikhwanis. And that's a bad thing for people to come in and mark off the masjid and we're going to take this over. Pakistanis opened it and it was just a dump, and then they took this, it was a nursery and this and got it up and rolling and gave them the opportunity to come and give khutbahs and to be there. And then all of a sudden now they want to take it over. And they got skilled at taking over Masajid. Their organization, they got skilled at doing that. That's unfair and that's wrong. You come to the masjid to worship, to help it grow and develop. Not that y'all got to be with us now, or we're going to take over the program anyway. So it's going to be an Ikhwani masjid. Like they say, oh, that's a Pakistani masjid. Oh, that's an Arab masjid. And they might have, oh, the Afghans go there. And out of the Afghans, they got different lines, right? And out of all the brothers got, oh, they Ikhwani type. Oh, they sweetie pies. Oh, they're Palestinian types. That's in all centers. But nobody that would understand what tasimu bihablillahi jamiyya and hold on all together by the rope which Allah stretches out and be not divided. Everybody knows that ayat. Why don't they apply it and use it? Why come in with they tried it here. They tried it here. They had the whole show from Dar al-Hijra was over here, sitting in the masjid. And the sheikh was sitting back there in a chair. And, well, would you like to, first they offered sheikhs. I said, no, I don't need no shit. We don't need no shit. I said, because we see what y'all do over there. We don't want y'all to bring what you got over there to here. We rolling, We got what we believe is good leadership. We speak out on what's this, that, and other, and we don't want to, because they use that Arabic as a tool. Your Arabic is not that good, and you could say Arabic don't have nothing to do with the full, clear understanding of Islam. I can be a Muslim without learning Arabic, and we let them know that you got Pakistanis, you got millions of people. In fact, it ain't but 200 million Arabs in the whole world. They got more people than that in Indonesia. And then you stick Malaysia. So the Arabs are technically a minority in Islam. But the language is superior because the Quran came in that Lugatul Arabiya, in the Arabic language. And they use that as a tool. And people who want to get ahead and want to look good, hey man, if a Negro come out with too much perfect Arabic, I'm not going to be paranoid. I'm going to be, hey man, what you up to? Right? Because if everybody is either clapping or takbiring, and then I watch his behavior, what did Arabic have to do with his behavior? Well, nothing. That's all. Something wrong. He's doing that because traveling for knowledge, those that do that seek knowledge so that everybody say, ooh, that's condemned, right? All the hadith on knowledge, you know. So anyway, let me go through a few things. Counter low expectations. About the Negro. This time, right now, our attitude right now, our Negro is going to be a 500 mile per gallon Negro. Yeah. A 500 mile per gallon Negro. A low carbon Negro. Niggas don't use up no carbon. Everything he blow out is fresh air. This nigga can breathe in carbon dioxide like a plant and breathe out oxygen, right? Inability, 2023, this model, this 2023 model, be infused with the inability to fight his brother or sister for other people. He won't be able to do that. We're going to detoxify him, you know, and also self-upgrading program. The Negro going to be self-upgrading. He just be rolling along, then he's auto-upgrading himself. Yeah, this is the new Negro. This Negro clean clothes better. They are whiter, they are fresher, they smell good, you know, like they got a new product. This is the new Negro. The new Negro gonna smell better, look better, and gonna do a better job. And he's a 500 mile per gallon Negro. That's what he is. A re-engineered Negro. Yeah. And then by 2023, we want this Negro that's black to affect the white Negroes and Latino Negroes. So this is a 2-year, and you'll understand, experiment for America. For 2021 is the day after, a couple of days from now, and there's a 2-year experimental period where we're gonna upgrade the Negro. Pretty soon, by 2025, this Negro will be global. And he will be able to adjust his counter-Negro program. What did we used to call it? Counter-Zionist American. No, we used to have the de-Negralization of we're going to de-Negro by making them a better Negro, the improved Negro, the re-engineered Negro. Yes. Why not? You can take it in pill form, gel form, or lotion, just rub it on you. But when you take this product, it's going to make you a new Negro. Yes, you can take it as a solid, you can take it as a base. Yeah. But our 6-month leadership training program or course will produce the ultimate Negro. Our motto, we build better Negroes. Yes, we do. We produce better Negroes. You got to have fun. If you don't have fun, you know. Our Negro is superior in character, in production. This Negro can work on the line just like they work out there what's the name of the place, sending all that stuff all over the world. At Amazon, this nigga can outwork them. He'll stay there till they turn the lights off. That's as long as you got the lights on, the nigga's working. course, in Islam, but Joe Biden got it talking about build back better. No, we gonna build back the best Negro. Our Negro is not better. Our Negro is the best. Yes, it is. I'm telling you. Hey, we working on it right now. Okay, reproduce the world's best Negroes. Old Don got warp speed. We gonna have warp speed Negro. That means every time we need something, the Negro that we produce will be able to warp speed it, like vaccines or a cure for this or that, or your eyes hurt. This Negro here will be able to jump on that. We have the Emergency Processing Center. Yep. Also cut off reasons to build empire, no one to inherit. Here's what they try to do to you. For instance, in our community, they try to, what they do to somebody like somebody that's in a leadership position, that's got all these big ideas and all that, okay, what they'll do is they'll try to create an environment where you won't want to do nothing. What I mean is, if there's nobody in line that even cares or want to do anything, you know what I mean? Like, well, if we have all these houses and all this stuff, nobody wants to move in them hardly, right? Or what have you, right? So they'll do that to you so that you'll say, man, I don't want to do nothing. You don't say it physically, but that's what you do. I don't want to build an empire because the legacy, who's going to do this? They're going to just steal anything that's, there's going to be a crew there and they're going to take everything and they're going to do this, that, and another. So you say, you remember, they want to stop you. They don't care what way they stop you, right? They didn't care. They might use a $2 trick on the greatest imam. If he do it, right? They do that to anybody. You say, I quit. I don't want to do it. Because that's like saying to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, hey, there's going to be a crew. They're going to come after. They're going to take this. They're going to mess up the whole ummah, right? And so there's no sense you telling the people the truth because they're going to mess it up anyway, right? That's not his job. It ain't nobody's job to sit there at the door counting jelly beans and telling, figuring out what's my legacy. That's for them presidents and crackers. My legacy. Nobody care nothing about no legacy. You do what you got to do. Allah know what you're doing, and He got your legacy already. You better try to do something right. Okay. So I'll talk about that point a little bit later. But the other thing, has anybody ever paid any attention to Kingfish and Andrew H. Brown them?
Yeah, I've been watching it.
You've been watching a little bit?
Yeah.
That's good, that's good. Okay. Do you know where 2020 vision came from? Do you remember when Kingfish was doing the one on the airplane pilot thing, and he had okay. So Kingfish was the instructor, and he said, 10 and 10 is 20, and you got 20/20 vision. The same old stuff he do. I never forgot that. That was 50s, 60s, maybe 70s. It was back there. But Kingfish told, anyway, Andrew H. Brown, you look, that technically was making fun of us in those days. It was making fun of us. We don't take that. We take the stuff they do, and we'll make it real on their behind. Yeah, on them. We'll practice you was playing and have them acting a fool on your behalf. All right, yeah, we're going to take that and we're going to use it on you. You will even forgot what it is. Sure, they want to know they want to know what's happening. That's the thing. When you can challenge your enemy and you have to tell him what you're doing, you have to say, boss man, let's slow down. This is what we've been doing to you. At first he don't believe it because, so wait a minute. I made fools out of niggas, not for niggas to make fools out of me. Because I'm the boss man. Well, shoot. Keep messing around. You won't be the boss man long. You ever look at the calendar lately? Boss man. What he got? 6 months to go, 8 months, a couple of years. Whatever it is, it's not that long. It's like he got a cancer, and you can say, well, he might live 6 months. He might live a year. Some people live 5 or 6 years. One lady had such a strong will, she said that I want to see my son graduate before I die. She had cancer. The doctor told her, you're going soon. And when that boy graduated, the lady died. She lived, that's what her, her cancer was eating her up all the time, but she was so motivated. You know what I mean? Of course, it was Allah keeping her alive, but the people that tell the story, they think that they kept themselves alive. That's not the way it's going. Okay, so our people, let me see. Some of the brothers that come, that they're maybe from your peer group. They come. Okay. That Sabir, Xavier, they're those people. Okay. So there's certain things, this comes from delegation. There's certain things that we want to do. Number one, we want to welcome those brothers back, not ride a broom on past. This thing, forgiveness is big. And remember, whatever we are doing or going to do, it has to be bigger and untried and all of that stuff. So, believe it or not, and I know it don't even sound real coming from me, but this thing about love and turning the other cheek and forgiveness, that's what we're going to use on the Negro, on the brothers. Yeah. Forget it. It's second chanceism, a third chanceism. Now, when I would do this with Abdul Malik, he would think, oh, you could see him, well, if I come back, I'm not going to do this. I said, forget it. Let's go back to where it was yesterday. Oh, because you think that somebody there ain't none of that. You know what I mean? So what it is we already know, everybody has expressed who they are. I mean, it ain't no secret, with nobody. But see, they are who the system produced. And really, everybody's only seen the system. You want a good long-range job, a stable job? Well, go to the government. They had people over at Howard there when you was there, right? CIA, FBI, everybody, just like they have the Muslims. Imagine they got you at a big ISNA conference. They got the State Department there. They got whoever's down with Dari, Farsi, Arabic, and all them other googly gob languages. This is your native language. We want you. Now, what are they going to do? They are immigrants here. They run by, oh my goodness, shoot, I got it. Good God Almighty. Let me see. It's about 80,000 a year job or something like that. Hey, and they go in talking the language when they walk in the door. to let everybody know I speak that language. That's my mother tongue. I lived back there for 25 years. You know, I was 25 when I got here, so I was fully educated in that language. Then I struggled with English, but I got that down covered. And my voice, everything, if I talk on the phone to somebody from there, they think I'm from next door, right? And that's what they do. Now imagine us, our people. All we ever wanted was a reasonable job, you know, where, you know, you can, let's say, probably most African Americans have a middle class mentality. They don't want to be over rich, or they don't want to be poor either. They don't want to work for $2 an hour for 50 years, right? So the government produces a good, stable, middle class, boring salary. You know, boring salary. But what the heck? You know, that's what they want. And if you look at all the people, whether it's Kamala Harris and all of them, she was a middle class attorney, district attorney, that put people in jail in California. Will she follow the program? Yeah, she's gonna put all the nigga parents in jail that their kids didn't go to school. That's what she's gonna do. So she's vice president material. Then they make her the head of the state attorney general, something like that. And then she's here. She don't care no more about black folks. Maybe she might like a few of her sorority sisters over there at Howard or somewhere. But that's about it. Outside of them, they don't care nothing about nobody. And all of them are like that. The frat brothers that run, I didn't know what a frat brother really was until I was, well, I went to, I knew because my parole officer, the head of the Department of Education in California was an African American. And he was the superintendent of all the schools in California. He was in Lombard camp with me. And what he did, he didn't break the law. The past superintendents used to schedule all the little white kids to go on international programs to learn about the world. So he scheduled niggas to go, little niggas running all around, you know, looking crazy and having a good time, like white kids. This is in late 70s and early 30s. They put him in jail, you know. And he used to run with a doctor. Boy, they was two characters. They used to come to our programs. This was an African-American doctor. I'd see his family come. They had a big, long Cadillac. And he was a real doctor. Them doctors, the heavyset doctor, was the one that, you know, you could tell they used Murray's. And then they had a place back there, a lump where the stocking cap used to. He was that kind of, so the conversations was really something, but they respected us. Now my parole officer, when I mentioned his name, he said, yeah, that's my frat brother. But I didn't really get an understanding of it till I was giving a couple of lectures out there at Davis, UC Davis. And the people that joined the frat, I guess I saw some guys, they had some white stuff on their face, and they would do this. Then all of them would do that. I said, what is wrong with them people? And they would stand there like this. And that's what they do, right? When they initiate, I said, what the hell are they doing? Now, I had years before that, I got a letter from them, and I knew something was wrong, because after that, I stopped going to college. I didn't, because I got on the honor roll, and they don't tell you where the honor roll, they don't say you're in jail. You know what I mean? They just say so-and-so, and they have your address. So all the fraternities was sending me letters. I said, if them niggas are sending me letters, I'm not taking any more classes. I mean, no, I'm gonna go to school. Because when I was in prison, I went to school all the time. But just to sit in a class, I wanted to learn what they were saying. And I did all the time, but that was the last time. Anyway, so the other famous Negro doctor, he was in jail for selling, he really wasn't doing this on purpose, but they was getting, not Oxycontin, but they was getting all them drugs they used to get in them days, them pills. And so my partner, Diamond Jim, he said, so Doc, you was selling all that dope. Oh, Mr. Jim, I was not, you know, that whole kind of approach. And so Diamond used to mess with girls a lot, and Diamond said, boy, he said, I get on them girls till they things start foaming, you know, oral sex. And the doc said, if you knew all of he was telling them all of the microbes, and I don't care what they got. I'm gonna knock that boy over and I'm gonna have foam all on my, oh, Mr. Jim, you shouldn't do that because he's telling the medical stuff. And Diamond didn't want to hear. So you could tell that I didn't enjoy being in jail, but I used everything for the proper way, you know. So anyway, let me get back to the main part of the subject. No, the Negroes, our Negroes, right here, they became whatever they was because this is just an opportunity, a job, you know what I mean? Now, here's what our job with them is to treat them really like high quality human beings. And if we do it long enough, I have a feeling that enough of them will come around. If it don't, we tried. Remember, we got to go beyond nobody's ever tried this. Everybody is in a group, or they're like the mafia. You make a mistake, they kill you. That's ridiculous. We can't do that. You know what I mean? Or all of those other groups, the communist groups and all that, they did the same thing. If you made a mistake, if you was embezzling, if you did anything, it was out the door. I mean, really out the door, you know. And so suppose if Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did that, where would Islam be? Nowhere. You know, that's why Allah told, if you was harsh-hearted with the people, if we use those disciplinary mechanisms, don't get me wrong, they work, they actually work. Every group that rise to national prominence, whether it was in Africa or the NFL and all of those people, those kind of organizations gain power because they scare people. You got to follow the rules here, buddy. Okay, we're not trying to do that. We're going to produce a superior Negro, and a superior Negro will have to do what he do because he wants to do it, because he didn't realize. Therefore, we have to have the patience. Now, remember, we have to have the patience to work with our people. It don't make no difference whether it's 6 months, 6 years, or 100 years. This is our policy. And it always has been. The last section we went through, we knew, you could tell we knew who we was dealing with. And it was just, well, if we don't do it, well, we won't be able to do nothing. If we do it, they're going to have a certain amount of control. And when they realized that they didn't have control, they left. That's why everybody left in mass. Whether it's here, whether it's Oakland, they left in mass. They didn't leave one at a time. And what they wanted to do in Oakland, I can visualize the people coming. Boy, that's a beautiful video. With me standing in the door and the white shoe wearing Arabs flooding through the door and everything, and Mukhtar leading the charge. That's wonderful. That's doing exactly. That's better than what we wanted, right? And for them, they thought we'd taken over. We're supporting Mukhtar. For what reason? Now look at poor. The same thing goes out for Mukhtar now. Mukhtar and Khadijah. I told them 6 years ago. I said, I'm going to help y'all because y'all don't get it. This is going by you. You know, I set them down in the masjid and I told them it had to be around 2014. I told them in words. I said, no, I'm going to help y'all, you know. And they didn't. You're going to help us. You ain't going to be around that long. That's what they was thinking. What, it'll be 2021 next week. We don't have that. We're not on their schedule. They can't do anything to make us do anything, so they have a reason to do whatever they thought they was going to do. That's not what's going on. Okay. The other thing is, we'd like for you to develop an introduction letter. People have opposition to me, and we'll talk about it later, but we're going to visit all the institutions around here. And some of them y'all could go together, you know. If you needed a ride or something, you could go. Because sometimes there's some of the stuff you need a witness, or it's good to have a witness. And a lot of the stuff, Brother Tufel used to witness all of this stuff. So he probably talked about Darl Hijra and them worse than we did. Right? Anyway, so introductory letter to talk to the people about presenting our case in a nice way to people, and they won't have to deal with me. See, because the objection is mostly Imam Musa. That's the objection. That's the objection mainly. And that's the target. Everybody else, they don't want to bother nobody else. They just want, you know, other people that's kind of with me and they go to the masjid, they don't put them in jail, they just put me. They could walk in the masjid, they do anything they want. Mukhtar don't have them put in. And without paperwork, that's another thing I'll get to in a minute. So that's Dar al-Hijra, Iswa, all of those type of people, you know, okay. And why are we doing this way? Well, we've always done it this way, but it's even more important now. And I ever tell y'all the story about the guy that raised all that money with the story about acres of diamonds? Acres of diamonds, yeah. The guy that owned the farm in South Africa, somewhere, and he heard about everybody getting rich, and so he sold his farm and went out looking for diamonds, and he never found the diamonds. He got frustrated, and technically he just jumped in the water, committed suicide. There's another Acres of Diamonds, the original one, they have Muslim names in this. But anyway, so the guy that bought his farm, he was watering a mule down in the stream, and he picked up some rocks, pretty good sized rocks, and he put them on the mantle over the fireplace. So one of his friends came to visit. Had a geological background. He looked at it, he said, "Where'd you get these?" He said, "Oh, the stream down there is full of them." That's why they call it Acres of Diamonds. You know where the water wash out. He said, "The stream is full of them." Now the guy, when he's going out looking for diamonds, he wanted them all polished and shined up, you know, look like they look in a ring. Probably why he never found any, because they don't look like that, and they have to be cut, polished, and set. And you have industrial diamonds, and you have jewelry diamonds. You got all kinds. So anyway, the guy that had sold his farm, that had tons of diamonds on it, the richest diamond deposits in Africa, supposedly. He was living right on top of it. That's the way we feel about the Negro. Everybody else try to get as far away from the Negro as possible, especially other Negroes, right? Tell us, I mean, this is what happens. And then we're harder on other Negroes than we are. White folks can make mistakes all day long, but the Negro, something wrong with him. He'd make a mistake, and everybody remembers for 500 years, right, that this nigga messed up. Okay. The other one is the ship had all of its water, fresh water was, dissipated, and he was down in South America, and another ship come by. They said, "We need fresh water." So the guy told him, "Lower your bucket." He said, "We need fresh water." He said, "Lower your bucket." Where he was at the headwaters of the Amazon. The Amazon is fresh water. And when those big rivers take water out, if you out 30 miles from shore, the water is still fresh. You know what I mean? It's fresh water, because it displaces the other salt water. So the guy told him, "Lower your bucket." And that's the same attitude we have. Everybody running around looking for special Negroes and special folks. Lower your bucket right here in our neighborhood. Yeah, right here. We got everything and everybody that's needed right here. So we want to educate, we want to train our own people to do this job. And the people that are here have been here. They've heard all the lectures. They know what's going on. All they have to do is reprogram themselves from visualizers to monitors to, whatever they do to get this. And I believe it's possible. In fact, I'm pretty certain of it. And I think that that's one of the things that we're going to need in order to pull this off. That everybody has to have a feel of who each other is, and that they're going to, right, remember, improve Al-Islah together, Islamic Revival, Islamic movement, all of that stuff is possible. And that's where we're starting. We're starting right here. Okay. By the way, 4607 and 4481, we're going to try to get them rented out, but we want people that's a part of what we're doing. We don't just want nobody living in you know what I mean? That's not what we got them for, and that's what we're going to stick with. That was one African brother that we would rent that to. He kept coming by. But we're going to box up the stuff at Brother Tufale's and put it in that book room, and we'll rent that out. But that's almost ready for, have anybody been in there?
I was in there that last day when Tarek was fixing the ceiling in there.
Well, no, it's got a couch, it's got everything is fully ready to go, and that room back there where he was, we had took that wall out, and so that used to be another bedroom. But that's a nice, Tarek said that the bed was back there somewhere. That bed is not there, but I think they got a king-size bed. But if we had to get queen size or king size bed and put in there, the place is ready to be fully furnished. You know what I mean? Because, that's several $100s is missing from the budget. All this stuff come up, and that used to barely get us by. But anyway, so lower your bucket. Acres of diamonds. Thursday we'll deal with organizational structure a little bit, but as the month go on next month, we don't have to run out and do none of this now. But this is the way we're heading. And the patterns that we're talking about, nobody's ever tried this. Everybody has been, there's been no kindness and consideration in management. You either did a good job or you was kicked out, or but it wasn't no second chance or third chances. Sometimes with Negroes, you have to have fifth and sixth chances, maybe even more. Who knows? I'm not down on the brothers, but this is such a special thing that, we'll have just simple letters of introduction, and then some of the people even might visit IAC and ask for certain people, and because they, might be hooked. They don't want to see me, I don't believe. So we're not going to just sit around and wait for stuff to happen. We're going to begin to make things happen. The other stuff that I was talking about all this media stuff, is do just general research. Actually make a report on how many people you think is watching, what could we do better, what type of media that this would fit and how we could adjust to that. All those things. They got podcasts, they got this, they got that, right? So just an outlook on how you visualize, how you see what's happening, and it would be a little report. Well, this is what's happening, that's what's happening. And we researched the popular forms of, they got Instagram, they got all of those stuff, social media type stuff, right? So remember, we have to upgrade ourselves too. That's what we have to improve. Now we didn't cruise and we saw so now we'll improve, and then when we improve that, we'll improve that, and this is now the cycle. Okay. Also, the self-defining. Self-definition is when you define yourself, and no movement could be really a serious player in the game unless they define themselves. So that's a part of what we're looking to do, is to redefine ourselves. This is who we are. We're not who you say, what y'all been saying. So we'll redefine ourselves. Also, not picking our fights, but I remember, what's the guy? Sugar Ray Leonard was the guy they picked his fights real close till he got real ready, And I remember one fight he had with Benitez, the Puerto Rican guy, in 1980 or something like that, 81. And the guy was actually given, if it was 50-50, it would have to be Benitez 55 or even 60. And then what is his name butted him. I said, man, that nigga gonna cheat. You talking all that, right? And then Benitez really got them headbutts is they throw you off. Because with him, he probably wasn't expecting. I lost all respect for it. I said, there ain't no win. Even when he beat old, what's his name, made him say no mas, whatever that was, down in Panama. I said, oh, forget it. You know, because he cheated. You know what I mean? He cheated, and he's supposed to be, if you know, win or lose a fight, you know, but you can't cheat. Benitez was not trying to butt him, so why he gonna try to beat, and he's losing too? Hey man, that was it for me and Sugar Ray. What I'm saying is it's about movement, it's about character. What those people consider winning, we don't care nothing about it. We're not bound by those type of winning and losings. You know, it's sticking to your character. It's being good. That sounds crazy, but that's what it's all about. Being good. That's really what the bottom line in all this is, goodness. So define yourself, self-define. But pick fights for revival. We done already proved what we, you know, thinking but we're gonna select more in a selective way what we want to challenge at what time for our own reasons. Yeah. We already talked about personal Islamic revival. This is the period we're living in, Islamic revival, not Iqamatul Deen. That was before. The immigrant community was in Islamic revival. I don't care how far all the books we read, Maududi and all of them, they were trying to revive Islam in their countries. And that's Islamic revival. Like Islamic revival, what they did in Iran, it was Islamic revival. Okay. What we were doing in America in these days was Iqamatul Deen, establishing the Deen, you know. Okay. But now we're in Islamic revival. Everything we had needs revived. The floors down there needs to be scraped up and put down new floors, right? So everything, we really fitting into this one because is to be rejuvenated, to bring vitality and all of that back into what you're doing. But it's when you want to do it and how you want to do it. So that's what we're calling, that's why we're calling it Islamic revival. Okay. There's a lot of things that, and I'll move toward a close, but with all of this, when I used to talk to Abdul Malik about this stuff all the time. So I would always tell him that, okay, now it's time for you to stop talking like Malcolm and start acting like Malcolm. And you know, I don't think he even really liked the idea. Why would I want to be like Malcolm when I can just act like him and not have no problems? Because if I start being like him, well, you know, right, what goes along with that? Especially when you got all these people jumping up and down. So I was telling him, hey man, why not? You done got all this experience now. You done been here, seen that. I said, now how about acting like Malcolm? He was almost mad. What? Acting like Malcolm. Instead of just theatrics and just like going to the movie, you know, just playing like, I like playing the part, not doing the part, you know. And in a way, I never could understand that how would you not want to be something instead of acting is like taking a course in acting and you get kudos on how well you play the part of somebody. Well, that's playing their part, you know, and it ain't you. But that's okay. We're not going to condemn people for the way they are. We just want them to improve. So, When I go back to Oakland, all of my friends that have been involved in this, I'm going to talk to them more about Islam, about siyasa, or politics, and what it is, and because see, when they see you get beat upside the head, they don't understand it because where they come from, you wouldn't take that, And I try to tell them sometimes, I say, you wouldn't take that, but you wouldn't get anywhere. I said, niggas always responding. All they got to do is step on your white shoes, and you go to kill everybody. I said, that's what they do. It's tribalism. They get you. That's why we said in our new Negro, we're going to program that ability out of them to respond with violence with each other, right? Because whether it's in Africa, Asia, right here in America, get people fighting each other, and you don't have to worry about nothing else. And they never pay attention to the monster, boss man, right? Because they busy with each other. That's not a cowardly way out, but it's not being big. So we want to explain to them what being big is. We want to explain to them this whole process that we've been dealing with for the last 60 years. Yeah, it's, last 55 years, whatever it is, so that they will understand, where we've been coming from all the time. Because a lot of people in Oakland don't even realize, they looked at what we did and they said, that's big. To them, that's the most important thing. But see, we kept growing and they didn't. So that was big. That's child's play. Driving all them big cars and having a big organization and all that wealth. To them, the ones that had it and lost it, they wishing they could get back to that. And they don't realize how we look at that. No, that ain't big no more. That's just almost, it's almost nothing. Because one of my partners, I asked him to testify at one of the trials because he had some special information. He said, man, you don't want to be rich no more, but I want to be rich. In other words, he knew the relationship between, everybody in Oakland knows the relationship between us and the government. That's why the whole city can watch and not make a whole lot of moves, because they already know what they know what that is, But the subpoena all film and documents related to Clarence Reams, Big Hank, Abdul Ali, Musa, Master al-Islam. This goes for the other trial. By the way, whether it's, before we go back there, we're going to have a little package with our legal stuff and talk to some of the people, even the people that are, whether they're good or no good, whether they drive Hummers or regular small cars, doesn't make no difference. As long as they're lawyers. We're going to talk to, we're going to reach out to whether they over at UDC, they got a legal thing over there, right? UDC over at Howard, they still got their legal do the attorneys, do they teach like they did in the 50s and 60s in the civil rights mode over there?
I don't know about Howard, but the people I've talked to at UBC, they have like special groups within the law school that you give them information and they'll like research it or do whatever, and then they'll focus on whatever is pertaining to you.
Whenever you could organize that or put that together, Just give me a few days ahead of time, and I'll put a folder together where they have a little round table or something like that, and you present it to them, and then they ask you questions about it.
That's how it was kind of explained to me. When I first
Shoot. Hey, I'm ready for that. Yeah, and like we say, remember, everybody don't have to be perfect. Some of the people that we'll be going to will be, Ronald Reagan used to call them civil rights hustlers. Somebody else got a name for them too. Hotep hustlers. These are definitely Hotep. Well, you know, if I mention Hummer, you can imagine who I'm gonna be. Yeah, they're Hotep hustlers, but it's okay. We're gonna look. We don't know what door this stuff is gonna come through unless we knock at these doors. But the period of just cruising is over. This Islamic revival is real. That this is something that we're actually going to initiate. It's not we're going to initiate, we've already initiated. Anytime you start focusing on it. Okay, let me speed up. The last thing I'd like to mention is Forest Auto, but we'll deal with that at our next meeting. Because Forest Auto, we made the thing and I took the video by, but we haven't got any response. So, you know, see, they don't have a right to work on my car, and I know that it was a $10 job, and they said they make it into a $400 job, 400 and something, 50, 80, I don't know. And then we drive it back there, and it just stops. And we left it there. We ain't moving it, you know. Okay, if it decays there, there's still decay there. But we know their relationship to our cars. I think my best car was that white Volvo used to sit out there, and that we drove it down to Florida. It was one of them good, it was just a good car, you know. The one that I gave you was a good car, that red Volvo. That was a good car. Only thing it was is like, jun, 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 jun.
I don't even remember that. That car lasted me a long time.
Hey. Yeah, but I'm saying it was a good car. Yeah, it was a good car, but when I had it, dun, 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 dun.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No. But I knew it wasn't nothing to it. That's why I say you could have it. I think I drove it over there.
You may have.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No. It had the Volvo disease. From that car is when I jumped to buying hundreds of Volvos. You know, no, it was a black 92. When I went down out of state somewhere, and they got my car over there to, what's the name? When I came back to the parking area, the two Pakistani guys was looking real funny at me, you know, behind the window. When I got in, it started right up, and so I drove it right home, and I got Jalil, and I told the family, come out and listen to this car. This is the same car, you know, we just went up to Boston in, and how it ran perfect, and I went over there, and it didn't run perfect anymore. Okay, so that's the reason I went to having many cars instead of just a couple real, you know. I would buy a lot of them, but to sell them. So I got very aware of Volvos, so when I would start a Volvo, drive it, I could tell, you know, this will last, I don't know, just the white one sitting right there, I haven't did nothing to it. And I've driven the thing probably 20 or 30,000 miles without nothing. And I haven't did nothing to it, you know. And I may not do nothing to it, Because other people want new cars for this. I want a car for transportation. That's all. That's all I need it for. And it goes way over there and way back here. Okay. Okay. The other thing I want to say is I have my own value system, but I don't insist on it for others. My value system, I don't insist that everybody else have that value system, you know. Plus, I done had a little more time to work on it. And I might have been different. You know, when the white man asked me, you want to be a good nigga? I said, no, I don't want to be like that. I just said that I was a teenager. I don't want to be like that. I didn't know all of the stuff that go with it like now, but no, I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be the juice boy, the drag boy, you know what I mean? I don't want to do that. And when I was in the prison, the captain called me in the office with our captain. No, with our minister. So I was a lieutenant and the captain, and the other, in the Nation of Islam. So Captain Gunn says he know both of us was getting ready to go home pretty soon. I don't think I want y'all to have a meeting this Sunday. We'd have Sunday meetings out on the yard. Shoot. I just said, sure. I went right out and told all the brothers. So instead of having one big meeting, we had 3 meetings that was as big as the ones we used to have. Because I was friendly with everybody. So yeah. So other people would have a different position. They would say, yeah, I'll go along with it to go home. Just because I'll be right back, it's okay. All this stuff, editors, we'll get into that later, but that's basically where we are now. So whether it's the new BBP, whatever, BPP, whatever it is, all that stuff, we're going to reach out to people right away, because that's what we're into, Islamic Revival. Are there any questions or anything about anything that was said? Or any comments?
For the most part, at least on today's lecture, was brothers and sisters, salams. There were some comments on Sunday's program.
You mean the people in Oakland or the lady?
No, these are the people over these other people. I don't know them, but a brother has said that, he said, wrong. Rub means everything that exists. Go learn Arabic.
Huh?
Someone said that rub doesn't mean nurturer to perfection. Someone said that.
Rob?
Rub, yeah.
It doesn't mean nourisher to perfection?
This is what this guy says. He says go learn Arabic.
No, he's got that wrong. That's absolutely wrong. That's in every. If you look at any commentary, I might even have some of it. No, that's what Rabbil Alameen, and he could say whatever he wants.
I taught too as a kid that it meant nourisher to perfection.
Here it is. Just read the Arabic word right there at the top, Rab. Yeah, right
Okay,
there.
The Arabic word rub conveys not only the idea of fostering, bringing up, or nourishing, but also that of regulating, completing, and accomplishing.
Yeah.
I.e. of evolutions of things from the crudest state to that as highest perfection.
High perfection. I was quoting it exactly. This is in every commentary I read, from Maulana Muhammad Ali to, I don't know, this is exactly what it says, Rabbil Alameen. That's Rab. So go learn Arabic. We love Arabic, but we don't love people that learn Arabic to show off. You know what I mean? Or try to maybe condemn without knowing what they're talking about? No, it's trying to condemn. You don't know what you're talking about? I'm sorry. Rabbil Alameen. Rab means nourisher to perfection. That it created everything and then it nourishes on its long, put us on the road to excellence. And I said in the thing that I'm not going to use perfection for us. I'm going to use excellence. And it's okay. But if it was years ago, I would just let that pass. But today, I'm not going to let it pass because I don't drown myself in Arabic. I have a couple of years of Arabic, and I've been practicing it here. So actually, I got 6 or 7 Arabic dictionaries, and I know what excuse the expression, I know what the hell I'm talking about in the language. I have a word for word Arabic dictionary also. You know that Quranic tafsir? Hey, man. That boy is wonderful. Every ayat, let me see, I don't know if I got one here. Every word, every ayat. Well, that's Hans Weir on the back. But what I'm talking about Arabic, I do follow it up. Let me just find one of the ones I like here that has, yeah. This is the word for word translation right here. You know, so if you talk Sabbihisma Rabbikal A'la alladhi khalaqa fasawwa, this, it'll tell you right here. It has a little number here for what it means, and then it has right there Sabbih, and it tells you what it means, and it on and on and on. And so before I come and give khutbah, I might have a minimum of 4 or 5 of these. You know, so when I'm doing the ayat, I know what I'm talking about. You know, I just, because you have to, because people do that sometimes. They think that they can out-talk you. Some Arabs will do it in a hurry. Oh, it don't mean that. That ain't the way we... I said, well, I'm not using it the way you use it, you know. And you ain't going to browbeat nobody no way about what you don't know. Mizan. This is from a concordance. When I talk about Mizan, I can look everywhere in the Quran that it says from Wazn up there. You know, so when I do research, if I'm talking about a thing, you know, balance, it means it's going to give me every ayat that talks about balance. So when I come up, even if I talk about it about 2 minutes, I know I have read all of these, and I picked this one, the one I'm going to use. So I know how the Quran is using all of those. And then this has happened to be close to Wazn, but I kept this because I liked it, because the Dar al-Islam had gave the original meaning of wazir. Wazir from wazara, minister, henchman, or what have you, but this is the meaning: to carry, to bear a load. So a wazir helps the leader bear the burden and carry the load of leadership and responsibility. That's what wazir means. And I didn't get that from this right here, although I read them all. I got it from the Constitution of Dar al-Islam movement. I said, man, them guys in 63, man, they was talking about Islamic State, and they knew what they was talking about, you know. And all the immigrants, that Dar al-Islam movement now, and they was all pro-Equani, you know. But on the back of everything that I have the dictionary. This is Hans Weir meaning. You know, Caliph, all this is Caliber to be the successor to be. So when I come up here and sit down, if I don't have time to go over both sides, I'm gonna go over just one little side here. That's enough, because sometimes you don't want to be too long. So the people can talk about what they want. I used to let it go, like Mellow Yellow was talking up at UC Berkeley. No, in LA, UCLA, and he was saying, in order to, he was saying the Islamic movement is not on-the-job training. You have to, and he lined up all the stuff you had to know. I said, shoot, would nobody be able to do nothing in America if they had to know all of that? You know, it'd take you all your life to learn all of that, you know. And he was saying that Imam so-and-so did this and Imam so-and-so did that. Well, I didn't challenge him because he was talking about us. He was telling that whole crowd of young people at UCLA, these people don't know anything about Islamic movement, and they have to do this. And here we are, and where are they? You know, and we've been here all the time. And nobody within any sense will ever call and say that what you said there was incorrect. It has to be a person that don't know too much, because everybody know what Rabbil Alameen means. The Lord of the worlds, the Lord, the governor of all the worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the same. I brought it up because that's what I learned in Arabic 101 when I was 5 and stuff. You know, that's what Apatia, that's what they teach.
Yeah, Rabbil Alameen. Yeah, and it has a whole long, if you would, the best that I found was Maulana Muhammad Ali's translation about Rabbil Alameen. But anyway, was there anything else?
So someone else had another comment. It was on the table.
No, go ahead. I just said we.
All right. The brother said, our way, the Muslim way, is to teach, not ridicule, Brother Abdul. And there is a better way to go about it by using hikmah, with kind words, not those words that cut, hurt, destroy, or break down relationships. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
Okay, that's a good point, and that's why we always talk about the management style of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Don't speak harsh words to him, or you'd run the people away from you. So our management system is exactly that system. Thing a person has to do is what has happened in between. So if we said something about somebody that cut a little, it might be a defensive move, and they might have said 300 things about us, whoever it is that we're referring to, 300 things about us, and finally we said, just like I referred to when we was talking about Rabbil Alameen, I said, years ago I wouldn't have said nothing like that. I wouldn't have responded. Same thing with Mellow Yellow. I wouldn't have responded. But now we're on a different level. And we have to have a offensive but a defensive personality. In other words, we've let people get away with everything they say. There's nobody in D.C. more talked about, well, technically in the United States, more talked about than this masjid. There's nobody, not even close. Have anybody ever found anybody this? I haven't even found anybody as close. So what I would do is give myself a nice pat on the back for being a nice guy. That's what I'm saying. And unless you know the circumstances, keep your mouth shut unless you know both sides. That's what the hadith about Imam Ali radiallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I'm going to send you to Yemen as a judge. He said, oh Rasulullah, man, I'm young. I don't know nothing about judging, right? He said, well, when you get there, before you make a judgment, listen to both sides first. Don't make a judgment, just listen to one side. He said, I've done that and I've never had any fear of judging. Because he listened to both sides. If you see me here and I say something about somebody, in fact, Mellow Yellow used to use that same stuff. I talked about a corpulent imam, not a fat imam. He said, maybe he wouldn't want you to call him that. I say, you don't know what, I didn't respond like I could have, but to let him know, hey, this is hikmah. And hikmah don't mean wisdom, it means the ability to put things in its proper order. Look it up there, brother. Hikmah, the root word of hikmah, hakimah, is to put things in its proper order. In fact, you could probably look it up on your phone. That's the root meaning of hikmah, right? The ability to put things in its proper order. So when we're dealing with these things now, there's sometimes that management and leadership calls for different expositions of things, right? And so you have to have the ability to put things in its proper order, because if you don't, then the people will take it like, oh, they don't understand. And I used to do that in some cases. As I add in Quran, Allah will not change the condition of a people till they change that which is in themselves and fusihim. Well, there was a sister back there. She said she was using another ayat. One ayat is 13:11 to say, another ayat is 8:53 or 54. And I knew both of them. One uses the word niyama. Allah will not change the niyama. Yeah, favor, blessings, all that stuff. And she was telling me she was using that ayat because somebody in some class. I didn't say nothing to her. I just let it go because I didn't want to ruffle a sister's feathers. Next thing, another sister was telling me, yeah, I heard they called you out on, her and Karima called you out on, so I just took the Quran out and showed them the ayat. I said, this is the one she was talking about. This is the one I was talking about. I said, I didn't not know what I'm talking about. I just didn't want to. She's a lady. You see what I mean? So at that time, I didn't do it. And then they just run and jump up and down and turn flips. So I said, I won't do that like that anymore. That's why I'm telling the people right now that unless you understand the background, because personally, I get the good guy award here. I'm the only one you ever know that let niggas beat them upside the head and they bleeding so much that they try to deal with my chest because it's a bullet hole, they think, instead of a head wound, stuff roped up. So let's not go overboard with soft-hearted and sweetie pieism and all of that. I get that award. I don't know who you are or where you live or what you do, but I get the good guy, the kindness, the appropriateness, the long-suffering award. That's what I get. I know for myself I get it. I don't get it from Allah. I'm just telling you that first thing we do is we think about what we're doing over and over and over again. Yeah, any more comments there?
There was a comment from the strategic pain management video a couple weeks ago, and the person said, As-Salamu Alaikum, thank you for sharing this message with us. May Allah bless you for your service, as we are in need of time of extreme distraction. We seem to lose our main focus in life to peace, real peace. That's what he said about that lecture.
Alhamdulillah.
That's it.
All right. Okay. No, alhamdulillah. Remember, we're rolling along, and we ask Allah to give us, the ability to administer His deen with some effectiveness and some regularity. So, if there's no more, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.